Do I got a surprise for you? What is up, Finn fans? Not really surprised when the name is in the title. But I got Tobin on. We're going to chat about the year. He's going to give his thoughts and opinions on 2022, on Tua Tagovailoa, on the defense, on Boyer getting fired, and the future. We have a very good conversation. Be sure to go over, subscribe to his channel. It's in the title. So you see it's in blue in the title. Click on it, go subscribe, show him some love and support. I greatly appreciate him coming on the channel and giving me the time and chatting it up. So without further ado, let's jump into this. I'm still debating if I'm going live on Sunday for the Bengals Chiefs game at 3 o'clock. You let me know if you want me to. If you want me to, I'll do it. If you're like, I don't care, I hate you, Doug, then I won't do it, and I'll just cry in the corner over there by the New England Patriots toilet paper. I use it to dab my tears. But on that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Like usual, stay classy. If ends up, you guys can see, I got the man. I got Tobin here. What's up, bud? How you doing?
I'm good, man. It's an honor. Thank you for having me.
No, the honor's all mine. I've been watching your stuff and listening to you for a very long time, and the honor's all mine. I appreciate you coming on, giving me the time. I'm gonna pick your brain. We're gonna talk some Miami Dolphins. Unfortunately, the season's over. So first thing I want to know, your opinion. What was your thoughts of this past season?
I had a lot of fun with this last season. I thought it was one of the most exciting seasons I've seen in a long time. We've had some good seasons around here, but I felt like the national buzz around them was something that I hadn't felt in a very, very long time. And a lot of that had to do with they had an electrifying offense. I thought that the conversation around Tua and Tyreek, kind of stirring the pot before the season, it put a bullseye on them. I think that they got off to a tremendous start. It's definitely disappointing, the way they kind of hit a skid there when they really could have put things away and put themselves in a better position. But you kind of understand why some things went the way they did with Tua's injuries and all that. But as far as, his play was concerned, I was really, really happy with it. Bummed about the whole concussion thing and what a circus that kind of became and why it just can't seem to be normal around these parts. But I think all in all, I had fun this season. I thought that, between, all the plays that were made, the electric plays that were made, I think that some of the defensive stars that emerged for them, I feel like a lot of the pieces are here. It's just a matter of, kind of putting it all together and taking that next step.
Yeah, I agree. Like you said, at one point we were 8-3. Tua was in the MVP talks. We were Super Bowl contenders. We were on a high, and then, like you said, we hit that skid. What's your thoughts on Tua and his concussion? And do you think he can stay healthy? Because to me, that's the biggest thing going into 2023 is I need to see more than 12 games out of him, because I'm pretty sure you can agree with me. If he would have played at least the Jets rest of the Cincy game and the Viking game, could have been 11-0. So, like, what's your thoughts on Tua and his health and all that?
Yeah, I mean, I was a big Tua guy, from the jump. I was excited when they drafted him. I didn't want Justin Herbert. I'm not like one of these guys who's like, oh, I can't believe we didn't get Herbert. I was rooting for Herbert's failures.
Yeah.
So I was really rooting for him coming into this year. I thought that watching a lot of those press conferences and being in a lot of those press conferences last year was just so depressing, like how this guy had to get badgered left and forth. So I really dug the guy. I thought that he handled things with such class, but I thought that, he's so fascinating as, a guy who is talking kind of all sports all the time. You just never know who those guys are going to be that like get over evaluated for everything. And for whatever reason, because he's not a polarizing personality, but everything that he did from the underthrow gate to his comments to anything is just like everybody's got an opinion about him. But all in all, I thought that, he showed a lot of good things this year. He's 24 years old. I thought that he showed some real good improvement. Certainly there were some games, especially San Francisco, which were disappointing. I'm not saying that he's perfect, but I definitely saw a lot of improvement. And I thought that you really got an appreciation for how important he is for the offense when he wasn't in there, because how quick he just gets things done. And I think that's how Mike McDaniel wanted to operate things. So, people want to say system quarterback, franchise quarterback. I don't know. I mean, like, I think that the whole point of it is he's in this system. He is Mike McDaniel's quarterback, and they seem to have a really good relationship together. I remember, I do the show after Joe Rose on QAM, and Joe and I he's always throwing like, first take topics at me as I'm about to go in. And he's like, what do you think? You think you pay Tua? And I remember like at 8-3, I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I was ready to, say like, this is the guy. I do think that the injuries are a fair question because, how can they not be? He came into the league banged up. He hasn't had a full season. And then unfortunately now you're adding head injuries, which are such a murky area on top of it. And the last one is so concerning just because nobody saw it during a game except for like a dude on Twitter. And then it's like, and shout out to Finn's Twitter, like, they're the biggest sleuths out there, and they'll come with the receipts hard. But just like, that's what's concerning, is like that one wasn't so obvious. It happened the same way, like hitting him on the back of the head. But, for them to just realize that while watching film, that's concerning, because you're like, now I'm going to watch games with him. I'm like, well, all right, is he just being terrible, or is he concussed? I don't know. And I don't mean to joke about it, but it's like, you just don't know. So definitely think you need to see a year with him. Totally, pretty healthy, especially with the head health. Yeah. But I do think the talent's there. I think the guy's good.
Do you pick a 5th-year option up on him?
For sure. Yeah. I definitely would. Just because I think that, quarterbacks are going for so much anyway.
That's true.
I think that it's going to, I think that, what is it, 20 million or something like that?
Yeah, like 2022. Yeah.
With the way the prices are going up on QBs, I feel like that's going to be a monster contract anyway. If he does, get burned out, and look, maybe they figure it all out, extend him, and it's not even a thing. But I feel like it's a fair safety blanket to kind of pick up on them for sure.
Yeah. At first I was iffy, but then, like you said, you look at the numbers. Deshaun Watson, now Lamar, they're going to break that market. So yeah, it makes a ton of sense, especially I think, it's around like 22 million. That was top quarterback money. What, like 5-6 years ago, 22 million a year. Now looking on the other side of it, we're going to talk about it. We still don't have a defensive coordinator, but before we talk about that, what was your thoughts on Josh Boyer and how he did this season?
I thought there were arguments on both sides. I didn't think that he was as awful as some fans thought that he was. I mean, I didn't think he was like Chan Gailey bad on the offensive side of things. Like, but I got it. Like, there were some certainly frustrating calls. He kind of felt like at certain times he became pretty predictable. But I also acknowledge, like, if we're going to acknowledge that Mike McDaniel had some things that he had to deal with on the injury side, so did he. He had a lot of injury concerns that he had to deal with. He did not have the Xavier Howard we're all used to. He had a lot of banged up safeties, banged up nickelbacks, all that type of thing. Emmanuel Ogbah was the best player on defense, arguably, the year before. Gone. Like, didn't even have an effect this year. So I do think that, I understood why they moved on, because I think mostly it just has to do. I think if that was Mike McDaniel's guy and he had that same year, I think he's probably still here. Yeah. But I think that it's just a weird situation. And I kind of got the thinking of it, because it's like, okay, you got a young head coach. The whole point we have him here is to try and fix Tua. He's going to be calling plays for the first time. Let's just take something off his plate and say, hey, this defense was pretty good. Why don't we stick with that? And what's Mike McDaniel going to do? He's taken one team has interviewed him. He's like, okay, I mean, is that going to cost me a job?
Whatever you want.
You're not gonna be like, was it like, I think Matt Rule with the Jets back in the day, where he's like, he interviewed himself. No, like, you're gonna say, I'll take that, and if you improve, I'm sure you're gonna get the cachet to do what you want. So I thought that Josh Boyer, I thought he did fine, but I don't think that. I think that if you look at all the talent that's there, I definitely think that they could do better. I definitely think that if you look at the parts that they have, I feel like this could be a unit that could do way more damage with the right type of chemistry with the head coach. So, I'm fine with them firing Josh Boyer and moving on. But I don't think it was like I don't think he got an F this year.
Yeah, no. And I agree 100%. He dealt with like his whole secondary. At one point they brought in Mackenzie Alexander. Boom, he got injured. It's like if I'm Boyer, I'm like, what do you want me to do with this? But like to me, my biggest knock on him was like certain situations. Like we all saw the
For sure.
Chargers drop him back to the goal line and 3rd and 17 against Buffalo. It's like, your pass rush isn't getting there. Stop leaving you guys on an island. But yeah, I agree 100%. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't the past 2 years. And then there's that whole conversation, Brian Flores, Alexander, who was calling the plays, but now it don't really matter because we got 4 candidates possibly going to be the defensive coordinator. What's your thoughts on the 4 candidates? And I don't know if you can tell us, but do you have an inside source on who might be the front runner?
I don't. I'm not like I don't have any insight. It sounds like it's Fangio's job to lose if he wants it.
Yeah.
That seems to be where it's all pointing towards. I don't know. I feel like if it's the Dolphins and you look at the type of talent he's going to have there, if he has a relationship with the coach previously and you have an owner who will spend whatever it takes, I would be surprised if he doesn't get the job, if that's the lead guy they want to go with. I think it's good too. Like you have a guy who's got a little bit more experience to be around because it seems like the other candidates are pretty young, like McDaniel is. But I think that's probably the direction it's going to go. It feels like, there was some reports that they were even like talking even terms by the time it was happening, but you never know. You got to cover your tail in case something does break or he doesn't, like the way Stephen Ross talks or something like that. And he doesn't want the gig for whatever reason. He is old, so maybe he doesn't want to keep going, but I feel like that's probably the direction we're going to go. And I think fans would be excited about that.
Yeah. And I like McDaniel's thought process on who he brought in, right? He brought in Fangio, but then he's like, in case we don't get Fangio, I'll bring in his disciple and Desai.
Yep.
Then, okay, let's bring in Chris Richards, who is a very, he did really well with Dallas. And then he's like, oh, we'll interview one. Like, I liked his thought process, like not knocking him versus Brian Flores, but Brian Flores, when it came to like the offense, he was like throwing darts at a board at one point. Like, you are the offensive coordinator. And the guy's like, what? I'm the water boy. Like, what are you doing?
So we're gonna do 3 guys are gonna call it. 2 of you just whichever one in their voice you like better. Like it's no wonder the guy wasn't off to a great start. But if
you like to play, throw a paper airplane down and then we'll pick it up. But yeah,
I didn't even realize like in the process of this, I didn't even know that McDaniel and Fangio had a thing. Like they had some type of relationship. So I think that's great. I think that, you get somebody who knows him. I think that, it's not like Fangio was a bang up head coach, but he did have bad quarterbacks in Denver. And he did, he's got to know a little bit about Bradley Chubb too. So I feel like with all that, I would hope that he looks at this opportunity and thinks, I like the coach. I feel like I could do a lot of things with the talent that's here. Because I got to feel like they got one of the more attractive jobs just based on, Wilkins and Holland and all the talent that they got around there.
And it's Miami. Like, come on. Who doesn't want to live in you're I think he's like 64. Like, who doesn't want to live in Miami? Come on. And then
a place
you coach a little bit for the Dolphins and then you go retire for a little bit. Pull a Jimmy Johnson,
Exactly.
then you're done for a little bit. Looking at, obviously we're heading into the off season, you brought up Christian Wilkins. That's another guy that we're sitting here. Got to give that guy a contract extension. Am I wrong?
No, I mean, like it's fascinating hearing. Like, I love breaking down press conferences and like seeing what guys say about something. Like, it was fairly obvious that Chris Greer is going to back up the Brinks truck for that guy because he's taken such leaps. He was so intimidating this year. He's also just he feels like he's the leader of the team in a lot of ways. He's the heart and soul, which is what he was drafted to be. A guy coming from a winning program. He's dealt with some stuff and some changes, but man, to see a defensive lineman like him hustle all around the field, fly around the field, bat balls down, get into fights with the other team's quarterback, people don't like playing against him. Like he's he's not only intimidating, but he's a little bit dirty too, which you want from your defenders.
Apparently pitch someone's nut.
He'll pull out all the stops. And I think that I think Christian Wilkins he's deserving of everything he's going to get this offseason for sure. And I think that I don't know how much longer Xavier Howard has with the team. Maybe he's back next year, maybe he's not. I feel like he will be, but
that
was X's defense. It feels very much like it's Christian Wilkins' defense now.
Yeah, and it's so funny too because he doesn't back down, but he doesn't talk dirty. Like those mic'd ups are like some of the best. You don't say that, no. Like it's just some of the best. Or ref, ref. Like, but looking to the future, 2023. What's your thoughts on this team? What do they need to do? Like we got the offseason, we got the draft, and then like obviously we have the season. What do they need to do to get over that hump? You know, me personally, I think if Tua played against Buffalo in the playoffs, we win that game. Skyler, 7th rounder. I think he did well for being a 7th rounder. But what do you think they need to do to get over that hump and possibly take over the AFC East? Because Buffalo now has to pay Josh Allen, so anything could happen.
Yeah, not only that, like it's so funny hearing their GM talk about like, well, you know, it almost felt like he knew a window was closing with how agitated he was getting the other day about the whole Jamar Chase. So, well, we didn't suck bad enough to get Jamar Chase. And I don't know, man, it's gonna be interesting because you're looking at, you know, the Patriots look like they got a real offensive coordinator now. I still think Mac Jones sucks though.
Yeah,
Fascinated to see if the Jets get Aaron Rodgers, but you know,
so.
I even if they do, I don't know. I don't even know if that puts them over the top. We'll see.
It's 2008 all over again. I don't know. It's
yeah, it is. You know what? That is odd. I haven't even thought about that. That's crazy. For me, you know, there's a couple areas like I do feel like for the Dolphins, you know, Mike came in as, you know, kind of a run game guy, and I thought that going with your guys with Mostert and Jeff Wilson was cool. Mostert, as he usually does get banged up there towards the end of the year, so. I don't know if that's just a commitment of, you know, another year of everybody together. Does he go in that? Because it's not like Mostert's young.
Yeah.
Do they go with that same backfield, or do they, you know, does something a little sexier come up there? Do they find somebody in the draft maybe late? I don't know, but it does feel like it's been a while since they've had that star running back, and you feel like with all of the things that could, you know, maybe make this thing a little bit more deceiving because they maybe got a little easy to figure out by the end of it. You know, having that solidify would be great. I don't know. You know, it's weird to see that the Dolphins were favored to get Saquon Barkley. That feels like a huge pipe dream, but
Right?
would be cool. I mean, it would be
it.
cool. I mean, that'd be awesome. But I just like, you know, look, I was wondering how the Rams kept coming up with money. They kept coming up with the money. So I don't see why the Dolphins can't either. But it's that I would be surprised if the Giants let him go. But
Yeah,
you know, who knows? I think that's the real place I would go. I don't know if it seems like Gesicki's going to go for sure. You know, and then on defense, I think that's just a matter of health. I like a lot of the pieces that are there. Honestly, I don't think there's a ton that they need to improve upon. I mean, it seems like a lazy kind of thing, but I like a lot of the talent on this team. And I think it's just a matter of, can you rely upon everybody to get through this year and be healthy? And you just never know. It's football. Look at Patrick Mahomes limping around in the AFC Championship. You just never know when the stuff's going to happen.
Yeah, seriously. And, you know, for me, it's mostly, like you said, on defense, it's depth, you know, because Trill Williams, Nick Needham, now Cater Kohu comes out of nowhere. We just need depth and maybe one, you know, stud middle linebacker. But I agree with you on the defense. You know, you look at it and you're like, we go back to Vic Fangio. How do you not look at that and say, yeah, I'd love to coach that. You know, I can do whatever I need to there. So I agree 100%. But thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you so much for coming on the channel. You got anything going on you'd like to promote?
No, I will let people know the radio show, which was for a while only streaming on Twitch. Tobin and Leroy, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. is now streaming live on YouTube. So if you guys could go subscribe over at WQAM's YouTube page, I would appreciate that. I know many of you, you know, are subscribing to the Tobin channel as well. I appreciate you guys. And, you know, the Dolphins YouTube community is awesome. It's as passionate as it gets out there. And it's been really, really cool to see how fired up everybody is for this team. And man, hopefully, you know, hopefully this is the next year where they can definitely get over the hump, because I did have a lot of fun watching this year.
Yeah.
And I just thought, you know, some bad stuff broke their way there at the end, but I do think the talent is there.
Yeah, 100%. And guys, go over, subscribe, help them out. Tobin, thank you so much for stopping by. This won't be the last time. I'll have you on again.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, man.